Sometimes, fate presents us with trials that seem impossible to overcome. It is in those moments that the power of love and hope can rise from the ashes, offering us a second chance at happiness that we never imagined. The story we are about to tell you is about exactly that. An unexpected rebirth and an unbreakable bond that overcomes the barriers of time and loss. Today, we tell you about Ricardo, a man who thought he had lost his daughter forever, only to discover an incredible secret that would change his life forever. Before we delve into the story, we invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our extraordinary stories. Stay with us until the end, because this story has a twist that will leave you speechless. It was a gray and rainy day in the city, the kind of day that perfectly reflected Ricardo's mood. The streets were covered in a blanket of water, while the leaden sky seemed to press on his thoughts. Ricardo, a successful businessman who had built his empire from nothing, had promised himself to give back to the community his success through charitable works. Despite his immense wealth, he had chosen to live a simple and modest life, always remembering the humble origins from which he came. That day, like many others, he had headed to an orphanage located in one of the poorest areas of the city. He had often donated food and clothes, trying to bring a little joy into the lives of those unfortunate children. As he drove through the soaking streets, Ricardo thought about the children he would see, remembering the difficulties he had faced in his childhood. Upon arriving at the orphanage, Ricardo was greeted warmly by Elisa, the director of the institution, a kind and compassionate woman. "The children will be so happy to see you, Ricardo," Elisa said with a smile as she helped him unload the supplies. Together, they carried the goods inside and headed to the kitchen, where the volunteers were preparing lunch. As they unpacked the supplies, Ricardo noticed a little girl sitting alone in the corner of the room. She was different from the other children, with long brown hair and deep, melancholic eyes. Ricardo felt drawn to her, as if something in his heart was telling him he had to meet her. He approached cautiously, crouching down next to her. "Hi, I'm Ricardo. What's your name?" he asked kindly. The little girl looked at him suspiciously, then whispered, "My name is Lorena." Ricardo asked her why she was alone and didn't play with the other children. "I don't have any friends," she replied. "Everyone makes fun of me." Ricardo felt his heart break at those words. "Well, if you want, I can be your friend," he said, offering her a warm smile. Lorena looked up and for the first time smiled. "Really?" she asked shyly. "Of course," Ricardo replied, taking her hand. They spent the rest of the afternoon chatting and laughing together, while Ricardo felt more and more attached to that little girl. Ricardo discovered that Lorena was very intelligent and curious. She liked to read and make up stories, and she told him about her dreams of becoming a writer. After spending time with Lorena, Ricardo returned home with a heavy heart. He couldn't stop thinking about the resemblance the little girl had to his late wife, Laura, and the daughter he had lost in the accident. The memory of that tragic day still burned in his soul. He had lost Laura and their little daughter, Sarah, in a car accident years before. Despite his desperate search, he had never been able to find any trace of the little girl after the accident, and he had finally had to accept that she was dead. That night, while looking at an old photo of Laura, a sudden thought struck him. What if Lorena was really his daughter Sarah? The possibility seemed remote, but the resemblance was undeniable. He decided to investigate Lorena's story further, determined to find the truth. At this point, we want to know what you think of Ricardo's intuition. We invite you to share your thoughts on this incredible meeting in the comments. But now let's continue with our story. As Ricardo delved deeper into his research, he began to find disturbing coincidences between Lorena's story and that of his daughter. He couldn't sleep, his heart filled with hope and fear. Finally, he discovered a police report that spoke of a little girl who had survived an accident similar to his. The details matched perfectly. Ricardo rushed back to the orphanage, determined to find out if Lorena was really his daughter. When he arrived, he urgently explained his findings to Lisa, who listened attentively and sympathetically. He called Lorena, who arrived, intrigued by the strange conversation. "Lorena," Ricardo said, kneeling in front of her, "I have an important question for you. Do you remember anything about your parents or how you got here?" Lorena thought for a moment, then replied, "I only remember that there was an accident, and then I was brought here." Ricardo's heart was racing. "Lorena, I think you could be my daughter. The one I lost in an accident many years ago," he said with a trembling voice. "Are you really my dad?" Lorena asked, incredulous. "I think so," Ricardo replied, holding back tears. Lorena threw herself into Ricardo's arms, both of them crying with joy and relief. After so many years, Ricardo had finally found his beloved daughter. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more amazing stories like this. Ricardo's discovery wasn't just a family reunion, but a revelation that had the potential to heal old wounds and build new memories filled with love. Ricardo took Lorena home, where he showed her her new room decorated with care and love. There, in the safe haven of her new family, Lorena began to find the serenity and joy that had been denied her for so long. Lorena explored her new home with curious and amazed eyes, and Ricardo promised to teach her to swim in the garden pool and to play tennis. Ricardo and Lorena's journey reminds us that, even in the darkest moments, there is always hope. Sometimes fate has strange ways of bringing back what we thought we had lost forever. After being reunited, Ricardo and Lorena began to rebuild their relationship step by step. Every day became an opportunity to get to know each other better, share laughter, and make up for lost time. Ricardo, fully aware of the challenges ahead, was determined to fill the gap of the years spent apart by showering Lorena with love and care. For Lorena, it meant finally having a father, someone she could rely on and share her fears and dreams with. Ricardo's house, once quiet and empty, was now filled with joyful sounds and a renewed energy, a sign of a family that had found each other again against all odds. This story is a hymn to hope and the resilience of family love. Thank you for joining us on this emotional and moving journey. We invite you to stay with us for more incredible stories that touch the heart and enrich the spirit. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our next adventures.